What is going on, everyone? Welcome back on Block Gems. Today I want to talk about the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and specifically I want to discuss some data and provide you some insights on this data that maybe might help you to spot some good deals or help you with your research about this project in general. So one of the things that I wanted to start from is the floor price for Apes as of today that stands above the 3.15 in this case Ether. In general, in the last week, and this is the time frame that I want to analyze, the last week more or less, we've seen a rather stable floor price, always north of 3 Ether. Sometimes it was even higher than 3.5, sometimes in this range, but more or less always higher than 3 Ether. If you were selecting the option to buy now, so not the apes that were on auction, we're not talking about that, we're talking about the buy now configuration, ordering of course from low to high. So this is the floor price for apes. And if we look at the prices that actually were recorded as transaction prices in the last week between the 18th of June and the 25th of June, so there is no data regarding yesterday. What I wanted to do was to understand how these prices were distributed. So how many apes sold for which amounts. We can see that the mode stands between 3.5 and 3.9, actually almost 4 Ether. So there are a lot of apes that sold around this price, in this price bucket, in this price category, between 3.5 and 4 Ether. And what I'm doing in this distribution, I'm also capturing capturing all transactions. So I'm also able to see if there were some apes that were sold at particularly low prices. One of the lowest prices is actually between 0 and 0.5 Ether, which is a ridiculously low price for this moment in the market, at least. And as we can see, regardless of having a floor price between 3 Ether and 3.5 throughout the entire week, we still find some instances where apes were sold at relatively good prices, even half price sometimes, and even lower than that, and in numbers that are rather high, one would say. So it is still very possible to find extremely good deal in auctions, maybe because some people really need the money, maybe because they are asking to be paid in wet instead of ETH, and they are accepting a lower price, maybe because the price keeps on going down because they said it this way, and things go out of hand. So there could be a number of reasons, but what matters is that there could be extremely good deals going on that we should look for if we are interested in this project. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that I truncated this distribution at 20 Ether. Basically, I'm not showing you guys what happens at those very extreme prices for those very particular and extremely rare apes. I'm more interested in the pieces that make the bulk of the market, the bulk of the transactions in the market, and that tend to be also more liquid. And this is what we see here. Now you might be wondering, why do I see all these different colors and what are they showing? So one color represents one category of ape according to the feature number of attributes. Now you might remember that each ape has a number of attributes, which could be the fur, the hat, the earring, the mouth shape, the eyes shape, and some have more attributes than others. So what I wanted to spot in the data was if there was one configuration of these attributes, basically one variant in the feature number of attributes that was able, or that has been able during past week, to dictate higher prices. And in this case, I did find something, because the feature number of attributes in the variant, in the modality for attributes, tends to capture higher prices. As we can see here, it's probably more evident if I toggle off others and just have this type of comparison. We can see that the floor price, the start, the lowest transaction price is at a level that is much higher than, for instance, the 6 attributes that has a minimum transaction price is ridiculously low, or more representatively between 2 and 2.5. So I would say that this is very interesting, because it tells you that the 4 attributes ape tend to command the higher prices, and this is even more visible in this distribution here. Colors are indicating exactly the same as above. We can see that the median price for the apes with 4 attributes is higher than any other median price. The median is indicated by the line in the middle of the box, of each box. So across the different variants of this feature, the variant that commands the highest price is the number 4. It's also the one that has the smallest amount of transactions. So let's take this with a grain of salt, but it has the smallest amount of transaction during last week, also because it tends to be a rare feature, which is also probably why it commands a higher price. So going forward, other explorations that I wanted to do was about maybe other features that had within the feature some particular variant that was driving the price at an extremely high level, and explore them all, but I just presenting to you what I consider the most important findings. For instance, if I were to look at the background, there is not a specific feature that is so particularly influential, or within the feature background, better said, there is no particular variant of this feature that has an extremely large impact on the price. Maybe a little bit the yellow background can drive a little bit of a higher price, but there's nothing that so remarkably pushes the price higher. So going forward, one feature that I consider super important is the earring feature, because in the earring feature, if you have the cross as an earring, it tends to drive the price up. And so the lowest price point in terms of transaction price recorded last week was at 4 Ether. And I would say that if you find anything below 4 Ether as of now, that could be a good deal. I mean, none of this is financial advice, but this is what the historical data is showing. And of course, this assumes that in general, the market for apes doesn't change, meaning that the market still consider these NFTs as valuable collectibles, and the floor price, for instance, doesn't crater to 2 Ether, doesn't crater to 1 Ether. So, ceteris paribus, this is what we can expect, that an ape with a cross earring sporting a price below 4 could be a very, very good deal. Another interesting finding is around fur. Nothing new actually, but I just wanted to show you the magnitude of difference if you have a trippy fur or a golden fur. It's absolutely crazy how different it is compared to owning any other type of fur. So it is true, it is intuitive to even just by looking at the prices on OpenSea or looking at the rankings on the different websites that provide rankings, it is easy to see that, of course, the solid gold variant of the fur feature drives the price up. The 3P feature that drives the price up, but nothing is as good as this visualization to see how massive that difference is compared to all the other features. So it's day and night, the difference. Now, one final exploration that I wanted to show you guys is this correlation, so to speak, between the rankings and the last sale price. So I took one of the most famous rankings online. I will not share if it's the one from Rarity Tools or if the one from NFT Rarities or others that are online. But I took one of these rankings and I plotted it against the last sale price. Why? Because ideally, if this is a good ranking, you find that as the ranking increases from the number 10,000 up to number 1, you find a higher price. And this is intuitive, of course, it's an easy statement to make, but how it increases, that is the interesting question. Because it could increase in different ways. It could increase linearly, it could increase geometrically, it could increase with whichever slope of the curve. But I wanted to find out how that increase was happening, and also if the rankings out there were good rankings, basically were good models that could forecast prices in a way or another, or could give an indication of price. Now it turns out that if you were to fit a straight line through this dataset, you would do a horrible job, because you see how it is shaped. It seems to me that going from a mid-ranked ape to an extremely well-ranked ape doesn't make increase the price linearly, but it makes raise the price exponentially. If you were to fit a line through this distribution, to these datasets, you wouldn't fit a straight line. You would fit a line that goes more or less like this. So that is sloped exponentially, which means that basically the price exponentially increases as the ranking increases. And of course, this is a model, meaning that it's never going to be perfect. You don't know how much exactly how much is going to increase for each position you garner in the ranking. But what is evident to me is that the difference between the top 100, those ranked top 100, and the bottom 100 is absolutely staggering, and the way it increases is absolutely non-linear. So guys, I hope this was a useful video for you to make your research about the Bored Apes, the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And if that was the case, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.